My name is Scott Reisch. I'm a practicing trial attorney, and I use my plane for work and pleasure. I keep my plane in Broomfield, Colorado, in my hangar. Now, I've been flying for over 20 years, and I love everything about aviation. I'm not a professional pilot. I'm not a flight instructor. I'm just a guy who loves aviation, and I want to share my love of aviation with you. Join me as we talk to others who love aviation and join us on a few of our flights. Welcome to Plane Talk. Welcome to today's Plane Talk. Today we're going to be talking with Mark Bingham and Mike Burtz. They are aviation enthusiasts and just happen to own one of the greatest airplanes ever made, the P-51 Mustang. Let's listen to their story and go flying with Mark.
This airplane is a P-51D model Mustang. It was built in January of 1945 and commissioned with the Army Air Force in July of 1945. So this are the cam covers. We've taken them off and we're going to pull these cams out. This is a Merlin Packard built V12 engine, so there are 4 valves per cylinder, and the cams move those inlet and exhaust valves, and so we have to remove those so we can torque the head bolts down. Then we'll put the cams back in and we'll have to retime the engine.
The reason being is they're made out of brass and they're prone to cracking, so every 50 hours cam racks come off and you have to go in there and check the torque on all those head nuts. You have to open up all the panels so where you can get in, check all, because this is a liquid cooled airplane. You have to be able to inspect all the tubing. We opted, when we did the overhaul, put the different colored tubing in. The blue is for coolant and the gold bronze looking tubing is for the oil system.
So this is the engine here. This is the supercharger right here. This is the battery. It's a 24-volt battery, and that's used for turning the engine over to start it. This is the cockpit of P-51D. They were all single-seat fighters, and they had an armor plate behind the pilot so that bullets coming from the back wouldn't hit the pilot.
Part of the fun of the airplane is it does have a lot of storied history. Most of the P-51s that you see flying today, I call them Frankenstein airplanes, are bits and pieces of other airplanes that have been put together. So when the airplane was decommissioned from the Air Force and Frank Tallman bought it in 1958, he bought it for $1,499.
Sometime later in the war, probably 43 or 4, I realized that some of these airplanes were going real fast and they looked beautiful, and it was a P-51. But then I knew that civilians owned them. And then the goal was, and that was one of my major goals in my life, was to fly a P-51. But I had to get to the point where I had enough money to buy a P-51, even though the price was not very high when I bought it. Put in an airplane, you never knew what you were really buying. You know, is this a good one or not?
So this is where the main landing gear is, and there is a big pivot point here where that landing gear moves up into the wing when we retract it. So we need to inspect that pivot, and then we also need to lubricate that pivot so that it continues to operate freely. So every part that you put on an airplane, you have to keep track of the parts. So we'll put this piece of paper, this paperwork, in the logbook to show what tire went on, its size, manufacturer, how it was done. Baby powder all over the tube, and that keeps the rubber from sticking inside the tire. Otherwise it'll not lay even with inside the tire.
Airplane does give you lots of freedoms, and that's one of the things about aviation is we do have a lot of freedoms, and you would hate to lose those with greater regulations than we have, because it is very liberating, the freedoms we have in this country particularly. You go to other countries and they don't have the freedoms to fly like we do here.